We are live.
Okay.
Except I'm gonna go back to gallery view because even on Facebook it was showing two. There we go. Both of us. I gotta turn this down because I'm getting feedback. Jesse's here, Bill is here. So we're gonna have to navigate. Keep the live chat up. Do you have the chat up too so you can see it?
I'm trying to get it. Not seeing the option to see the live video yet.
Go to my Facebook.
Oh, yeah, now I see it. Got it.
There is the usual lag where you and I are talking and then I see it play out on Facebook like 10 seconds later.
Hey, Jesse. Yeah, there's a little bit of a lag, but we'll roll with it.
Hi, Tony. Hi, Jesse. Hi, Bill. Okay, I see that you were able to comment in there. I just want to make sure we can see the comments like as we're going because I have to jump back and forth.
Right.
You're still, I saw you sit down, but when I look at Facebook, you're still over by the window.
Okay.
All right, that's long enough. I'm gonna pull
Alright.
over and we're gonna pull over. I'm gonna pull over.
Yeah.
I'm gonna jump over to get our shit started. Can you say that on Facebook? Facebook is so weird with cuss words now.
Oh, yeah.
All right, we're gonna get started. Jump right into it. Scene. Hey everyone, so I want to welcome you to tonight's episode of Call Me Jess. You got me and Q. We're going to be talking to you about Greek mythology, all the ins and outs, and we're going to make it fun. We don't like anything to be boring. With that being said, we're going to kind of get into personality traits and personality. I guess personality traits actually works. We don't need to go any deeper than that. Of each individual god, we're going to talk about the basic gods. I don't want to call them basic because basic is the basic gods that are talked about in Greek mythology. And what else did you want to talk about, Q? What are the other?
And some of the primordial gods that maybe aren't talked about quite as much. So it's like Gaia, Kronos, and some other ones.
That'll be fun. So with that being said, we're going to jump right into it.
Yeah. Alrighty. So we were going to talk about Greek mythology for the most part, and it's it's like the original soap opera, full of gods with way too much power and just no chill. And tonight we're peeling back the curtain on Mount Olympus to meet the gods, their powers, and surprisingly relatable personality flaws. So think of this as your ultimate cheat sheet to the drama that shaped the ancient world and gave us some serious stories.
It'll be fun. And to jump right into it, we're going to start with a list of the gods. We're going to kind of go through them one by one, and we're going to talk about their abilities and some of their traits. So, of course, we're going to start with Zeus. Everybody knows Zeus. If you don't know Zeus, I'm sure you've heard of Zeus in some form. You may not know a lot about him, or maybe you do. I don't know. He's talked about pretty consistently just through basic whatever. Let's kind of move on with that. So Zeus is known as the king of the gods, and he controls lightning, the weather, and the storms. Um, with that being said, he was known to be very charismatic and powerful. But he was super unfaithful. He didn't know how to be faithful. He took a lot of women to bed, a lot of human women to bed at that. He took different forms to become like to real we'll get into that. But he likes to be in everybody's business. He likes the drama. He likes to know what's going on, and he likes to seduce people. So he is known to have slept with, I don't have an exact number, but he was known to like his human women.
Right. And that was a constant point of drama in in this soap opera, especially with his wife, which was like known to be wrathful at times. So yeah.
Okay.
Oh, just really quick because I just heard this story though. Apparently they got back together. They divorced after some infidelity, probably with Zeus, and Zeus had a wacky idea, or I think one of the muses told him to do this, to dress a statue of a woman with a nice dress and say it was a wooden statue and dressed it up and then pretended like he was going to marry this statue. And Hera, of course, got furious and ripped the dress off and then found out it was just a statue. And apparently that it was all good from there.
Kind of like those, oh, I'm gonna prank my boyfriend or my girlfriend into thinking that I'm with another woman or man, and they got like a fake person in bed, like they're making out.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah,
the original fake out prank.
that's toxic. So the toxicity started way back,
Yeah.
way back.
Right. Yeah. These were, I mean, they were gods, but they were definitely not, you know, the most stable or like had the the most ideal sort of relationships. But, oh, Tony's asking what's my favorite Greek god? And geez, that's kind of hard to choose.
It is hard
But
to use because I never really like thought about it. Who is
I
it?
think Athena for me, because I like the imagery with owls and god of like intelligence and war. Pretty cool.
I'll be a little more into the gods we're going to talk about, and I'll go with Nyx because mostly because I'm a little more familiar with her, and she's the goddess of night. So we're going to get into her a little bit later.
Hmm.
So so far we've talked about Zeus, who is the king of gods, and Hera, who
Hmm.
was Zeus's wife, and she's known as the queen of gods. And yes, we're going to move into Poseidon. I'm sure most of you have heard of Poseidon. You've probably heard of a lot of the gods we're going to go through because they've been talked about thoroughly, at least through my lifetime. Poseidon is known as the god of the sea. He controls the oceans, he can create earthquakes, he can even tame horses, which I have no idea how being the god of the sea kind of coincides with being able to tame horses, but he could do that. He could be a little moody, hence why sometimes if you're out at sea, not you particularly, but let's go back to like if a pirate's out at sea, if if he was in a bad mood, you were going to have a bad time. You weren't going to have a good time out there. If he was in a good mood, you're getting pleasant, clear skies, calm waters, and I mean, you never know. Don't piss Poseidon off if you like to be out in the middle of the ocean.
Right.
He's what are they? He's known as the salty guy, so he gets offended easily. Don't piss him off.
Right. Yeah, probably a good idea not to get on any god's bad side, but it seems a
Any
little
of them. Don't
side.
piss any of them off.
Yeah. Oh man. Oh, the next one is one of my favorites too, actually, Hades. Especially the sort of original Greek version of him. A lot of people think of him as like this sort of comedic evil villain character, but in reality he was, you know, not good or evil like any of the other gods. There were it wasn't necessarily evil, but he rules the underworld, and so you know he's got that connotation. He's quiet, broody, and he just wants to do his job in peace. So just like the goth character doesn't want to ask for all the attention.
Let me do my damn job, please.
Right? Yeah, and there's a lot of there's some Greek myths where like he ends up getting tied up like with Persephone and a bunch of stuff like this, and the overwhelming attitude seems to be like just leave me alone and let me do my job.
So moving on to the next god, we're actually going to talk about Athena now, who Q just mentioned a few minutes ago is his favorite goddess. She is the goddess of wisdom and war. She's known as a very strategic thinker. She's really good at crafting and good at fighting, combat skills, things of that nature. She was very smart and calm, but she could also be, because she was so smart and calm, she could become, or she could come off as very intimidating. She's the one to go to when you need a plan. She could organize things. You want a plan, go to her. She's the one that will sit and strategize with you and make sense of whatever your needs are when it comes down to whatever type of plan you need. She is also going, it says if you didn't have a plan, she would make fun of you for it. So go to her.
Yeah. Don't go in without a plan, or
She's
she's
going to
gonna
make fun of
resist
you.
Yeah. And okay, next god we got here is Apollo, god of sun and music. So
Those are two really good things to have in
yeah,
your life.
right. Also the god of healing. I don't know if you know that staff with the sort of snake that goes down it. That's Apollo's staff, and still used today in hospitals and stuff. Also the god of prophecy, archery, and again music. Uh, Obviously he's charming and talented, but he's also a bit full of himself, which I guess you would be if you were the god of sunlight and music.
Charming and talented, a little narcissistic, but
Yeah,
I mean,
if
he's
Instagram existed, yeah, jeez, he'd be all over that. Hashtag sunkist.
I need some sunshine.
Yeah.
You live in Arizona, you get more of it, I'm sure. It's been kind of gloomy. It started to snow.
Oh man.
It comes every year, and every year I'm just like, all right, let's move on to spring. We're done.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, we're in the middle of like the 3 weeks of perfect weather, so it's gonna be like 80,
Enjoy it.
75 for a couple
That's
weeks.
like perfect. 75
Yeah.
and sunny. I love that. Is you know that because you know that we've already talked about this. We get higher like humidity levels here, which just makes the hot weather suck even more.
Right.
The humidity where you're just kind of like you're walking around and you can't breathe. I don't like that type of hot because I want to be comfortable. So yeah, 75 and sunny with like just a healthy amount of humidity, which I don't exactly know what a healthy amount of humidity would be, but where it's still enough to kind of keep the nights warm so you can kind of have a bonfire. I love that shit. So
It sounds perfect.
yeah. Okay. So instead of getting lost and talking about the weather, as Apollo kind of led me into, we're going to move on and we're going to go into another god named Artemis. And actually, she's a goddess. She's the goddess of the hunt and moon. Her abilities include archery, hunting, and protecting women and children. She's fierce and independent, and she's out there living her best life. Introverted, though, like her little introverted self, she likes to live among the woods, and she keeps people in her small group of people where they're out kind of hunting. Small group of people. She's introverted. She loves the people that are within her bubble. Like if she loves you, you're in her bubble, but she's not really going to expand upon that. She likes to just the calm and the quiet, keep to herself. And what is she hunting? I don't know what she's hunting exactly. Does that mean she's hunting animals? Is she hunting people? I mean, she's a goddess, so what is she doing? What is she hunting?
Yeah. I don't know. I gotta look up more stories with Artemis. She seems like a cool god though.
I have to step away for like 2 seconds. You're back.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Justin, yesterday was amazing. The sunset, I don't know if you saw, it was beautiful purple. Um, oh yeah. So next god is the god of war, Ares. You might have heard of him if you ever played God of War series. It's not actually Ares that you play as, but he kills him in the series. Um, he's all about brute strength and chaos in battle. And as you can imagine, very aggressive and passionate and a bit of a hothead. He's the guy who starts fights for no reason. So
Little aggressive.
yeah,
Aggressive.
kind of like Thor we talked about. uh last week. He's he's the big fighting guy who's always quicker to get into fights and to talk about things.
You need to meditate more.
Yeah.
So you were talking, yeah, Jay's talking about the weather in Arizona.
Some beautiful weather. Yeah, and back in ancient Greek times, they would, I guess, thank the gods for a beautiful weather like this, or they actually imagined them up on a mountain in the clouds. So,
Makes sense.
yeah.
Okay, so moving on from Aries, we're going to go into Aphrodite, another, well-known, well-talked about goddess. She is known as the goddess of love and beauty. So she inspires love, lust, and desire. So all three, which there's different levels. If you talk about being in love, love goes a lot deeper than lust. Lust is more of a like a surface level attraction, which I feel like in any like beginning to any relationship, there's going to, if you're attracted to somebody, you start with like, there might be a little bit of lust, and then you grow into getting to know each other, and
Yeah.
you fall in love, and it goes a lot deeper. She is known to be beautiful and confident. She carries herself well, and she knows exactly what she wants. She could be known as a heartbreaker. So there you go. The god of love is a heartbreaker, goddess of love.
Right. And who was it? It was, I believe it was Ares who was constantly trying to get with her. Oh no, Hephaestus, actually. Um, I don't know, there's a lot of sad stories of people wanting to get with Aphrodite and just it's not being able to happen, not working. But I guess so the god of love and also heartbreak, I guess. And okay, so next one, Hermes, the god of travelers and also thieves. Um, super speed. So he's got those winged sandals that he's flying around with, and
I can see it in
living
my
this.
mind's eye. Yeah, I envision
Yeah,
it.
yeah, but he's not just an errand boy. He's also up to some mischief. He pulls off some heists. He's been known to steal a few mythological artifacts, stuff like that. Very witty, as you can imagine, and sneaky, and always one step ahead, or a few steps. The guy you'd call when you need a smooth talking getaway driver.
So he can come and grab me, like grab me up by the under my armpits and like run with me.
Right.
Special sandals. Let's go. That type of pickup driver. Like you're not getting into a car. It's not going to be comfortable. Just hold on tight. Close your eyes.
No, but I'd trust him to get me out of there.
He's a god.
Yeah.
So I feel like there might be a little more like faith in his ability to keep a hold of me. Don't drop me. Maybe. Who knows?
Right. Oh, man.
So, okay, we were just talking about Hermes, correct? Yes, yes, we were.
Mhm.
We're going to move on to Demeter. I don't know if I said that right, but it's a pretty basic
I
name,
think so.
Demeter.
Yeah.
Demeter. She's known as the goddess of agriculture. So she controls crops, seasons, and fertility of the land. So your ability to grow crops would be, if your crops kept dying, you would probably, I would assume, you would pray to her, ask her for help, ask her for a little direction, and then she would grant you the fertility of crops so that you could then successfully grow your crops. She was known to be nurturing, but very intense if you crossed her. So again, she's a god that if you pissed her off, you would regret it. She is, oh yeah, okay. So just ask Hades what happened when he kidnapped her daughter, Persephone. Is that how I said Persephone? Persephone?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's it. That's
So
how I always pronounce it.
he had to live with an eternal winter. And as we were just talking a few minutes ago, that would make my life hell. I would be like, no eternal winter. I
Yeah.
need sunshine.
Thank you. My computer that had this script on or my notes on just crashed, but I've got I'm loading it up
Well,
on
take your
the
notes.
screen.
Yeah, we have to take notes. So we take notes so we have some kind of direction to go with this, but also we don't just know everything,
Right,
unfortunately. So we follow along, make sure we're sharing accurate mythological information with you.
right, right. We have verified this, and I mean, there's some stuff I've known just because I've loved Greek mythology my whole life, but there's a lot of stuff I learned when I was doing some research here. And also, we want to keep it flowy and just talk to you guys in the messages if you have any questions or things you want to talk about relating to Greek mythology.
Right,
Or
that makes it a lot of fun too. You guys kind of talk with us, ask us some questions. You don't even have to ask a question, just throw your thoughts and opinions out there. If you know something that we don't know about Greek mythology, toss it out there. We'll share it,
yeah,
which could be plenty because I know the basics like about Greek mythology. Of course, like I've heard of the gods, I know of Zeus, all of that, but um I'm sure there's so much more to it that we don't discuss that you're not going to learn in school or you're not going to learn just kind of hanging out talking with your friends.
right. Okay, I think I'm back. Maybe. Okay, we were just talking about Demeter, right?
We are on. No, we were just talking about Demeter, but we're done. So we're going to move on to. You said his name once already, so I'll allow you to do the honor again.
Oh, there's Aries. Yeah. And you,
No, number 12.
oops, I went too far.
That's
Oh,
okay.
oh yeah, another thing about Demeter. She invented winter. Yeah. Yeesh. Um, that happened because of this thing Hades got wrapped up in, and he didn't want to, but I guess one way or another he kidnapped Persephone, and Demeter grew in threw a massive fit, a tantrum, and refused to let anything grow. So, god of the harvest, and wasn't letting it happen. She was going scorched earth, I guess, literally, and that bit of drama gave us the seasons because they made a deal, I guess, and Persephone could come back during the summer and spring, but during the winter she had to go back to Hades, and that made Demeter sad. So nothing can grow when Persephone is gone. So interesting way to explain the seasons, I think.
Yeah, I know. I didn't know that. That's funny. So number 12. This is the god I think you said was interested in Aphrodite.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. Unless I'm mixing it up, I'm pretty sure that was one.
What is it? Hephaestus?
Yeah, yeah.
Is that right? Because what?
That's how I say it.
Hephaestus, the god of fire and blacksmith. Okay, so Hephaestus, as I just said, is the god of fire and blacksmith. He is known as a master craftsman of weapons and tools for the gods. So, very specific subset of tools. He's known to be quiet but hardworking, and he's probably a little underappreciated for what he's offering and what he's doing. And that probably has a lot to do with the fact that he's quiet and doesn't speak up for himself. So he gets overlooked. He's the guy that is behind all the cool gear, but he's not really the guy that gets the credit for the cool gear. So,
Yeah,
what are you
yeah,
going
a
to
little unfortunate.
speak up?
And I don't know, something you might be aware of if you're ever working on things behind the scenes. Um, you might be critical to things working, but don't always get the recognition. But yeah, if you feel that way, then Hephaestus is a kindred soul. And here, I just missed this. Tony,
I was going to say, I just saw that because I had to reload.
if
All right.
you were, oh, you want to read that?
No, go ahead. You're fine. Sorry.
If you were to be a Greek god, what abilities would you have, and what would your name be? That's a good question.
That is a really good question. And I have to think, we have to think like up on the spot. So,
Yeah, let me think. Geez, I'm flying and maybe talking to animals. Maybe I'd be god of birds specifically, so that I could like commune with birds and then also fly like them. And my name, I don't know. I always go off something relating to my name or the letter Q. So I'd go like
I was thinking that.
uh, Quintonia or something. Yeah.
So I would
It
do
feels like
like
a place, but
goddess of energy, I think. Goddess of energy. But as far as like what my name would be, going off of Jessica, just keep it Jessica? Can I just be Jessica, goddess of energy?
Yeah, yeah, that works. Jessica, the goddess of energy.
So
That's
I
got
can like manipulate energy, almost like telekinesis, but I'm intentionally moving energy rather than just objects. There we go. That'll be fun. Yeah.
I like it.
What about you, Tony?
Oh, he just said, I'd
And
like to be god of nature and communication, and the name would be
he said, I'd like to be God of nature communication.
oh, nature communication. Oh
Mhm.
yeah, that's a cool ability.
Or anyone else like actively watching, if you want to kind of jump in here, if you have a god name or a goddess name, and an ability that you would like to have if you were a god or a goddess, share it with us.
Yeah, we'd love to hear it.
What about you, Jesse? Tony's still thinking up of a name. What? Tony's still thinking of a name.
Right.
Thinking up of a name.
I was trying to make it subtly Greek, but yeah, they have a lot of interesting names for sure. I don't know how to pronounce all of them exactly. So yeah, apologies if we're
I feel like the Greek gods' names are a lot easier to pronounce than the Norse gods, though.
yeah,
Norse gods were like, those names were freaking wild.
there were some tough ones.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, we'll give them a second. And so we're not standing here, just sitting here waiting and being silent. Let's kind of move on to the next god.
Yeah.
I'll let you take the floor for this one.
Okay, so we got Dionysus, the god of wine and partying.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, the
Except I
fun
hate wine.
god. Yeah. He brings the wine and the madness and also the revelry wherever he goes.
He sounds like a good time, though.
Yeah,
Like somebody that I'd like to be around, somebody with good energy, high energy.
right. Yeah, you know you're having a good time with Dionysus. It's fun, unpredictable, and probably the life of the party. But maybe the reason it gets out of control. Um, I was watching the show actually, pretty good. Oh geez, if I'm gonna remember the name, I think it's called Mount Olympus. It's with
Mount
anyway,
Olympus sounds like it would be about, Greek mythology and the Greek
yeah,
gods.
it's sort of a modern retelling of it. It's like a world where Greek gods exist and mythological creatures exist, but it's sort of set in a modern or maybe 80s type uh era.
Oh, that would
But
be kind of cool.
Dionysus is a really cool character. He's just like a total party guy. He goes to raves and stuff. So it was
Like
a cool
Mark.
rendition.
Would Mark be Dionysus? Mark
Oh
might
yeah.
be Dionysus.
Hey, he might be. Maybe he's undercover.
All right, I'm gonna check the comments real quick so that I'm not ignoring anybody. I just have to jump back and forth. Okay, so Jesse said he'd probably be the god of teleportation and his name would be Red Star. So that would be that would definitely be a really cool like ability to have.
Oh, nice. Yeah, and Red
Then
Star's a cool name too.
Tony said his name would be Telepathon. Did I
Oh,
say that right, Tony? I hope I said that right. Because obviously he would be a telepath, being able to communicate with nature. Ooh, Justin just thought of what he would be. He would be the god of stories. That would be
oh,
amazing.
oh,
With the
nice.
ability to create realities and the keeper of all stories. Do you
Wow.
know what his name would be, though?
That's pretty powerful.
How about Justin, god of stories?
Yes.
I'm so creative with the names.
That is a really cool ability.
That would be, yeah, especially like, yeah, that would be amazing. That piques my interest. But the keeper of all stories, you would just own everybody's story.
Right. Whoever writes anything, you're like, yeah, but it was really
But it was
just
really
out of
Justin's
stories.
because he's the god of stories and he shared it with you.
Yeah.
Can't think of a name. I couldn't either. Jay, I left my name as Jessica, god of energy.
Well, that is actually a thing in Greek mythology too. There's muses, I think. I think it's more than one, but it's they're like this Greek um god type creature that actually gives people inspiration, artists and such. So it fits into the theme.
It does. Okay, so those are the gods that we're going to go over right now. We're going to get into some less common gods that you've probably also heard of, but we're going to do that a little bit later. Right now, we're going to jump into some really fun facts about the gods that we just talked about. So with that being said, we're going to start with Zeus again. And Zeus was apparently raised in secret to avoid being eaten because Kronos liked to swallow all of his kids.
Mhm.
And so Zeus avoided the snack menu thanks to his mom, because her name was Rhea, by the way, because she hid him in a cave on Crete. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. It's Crete. And he was raised by a goat, probably right there why he has as many issues as he did, whatever.
Yeah.
He was raised by a goat, and that goat's name was Amalthea. And so, yeah, the king of gods had a goat babysitter. Technically, I guess a goat parent, so to speak. Not a parent. What is the word I'm thinking of? Like when somebody has custody of you that's not your parent, they are your
A godfather? No, no.
no, guardian.
Guardian.
Goat
Yes. Goat guardian. Perfect.
So I mean that's interesting to know. If I was raised by a goat, I would probably be a much different person. So,
Yeah.
you know, explains a little bit, maybe.
Yeah, they have a thing for people being raised by animals in Greek and Roman mythology. Well, like Rome was supposedly founded by these two twins, Remus and Romulus. I know we're not talking about Romans right now, but they were raised by wolves apparently. So a lot of people
That's like
don't
a common. I hear yeah, that's common being raised by wolves. Like that's a common myth
Yeah,
through different stories.
and I wouldn't. I mean, a goat seems a little hard to believe, but I do think like a wolf might have this sort of instinct to actually take care of a small child
Yeah, maybe.
potentially. I could see that happening. A goat, that sounds a little far-fetched, but yeah.
But it's still fun nonetheless. He
Yeah,
was
it's
raised by
fun.
a goat, which explains some of his issues. It doesn't explain his inability to be, loyal to his wife, but it explains the fact that he was dramatic. Goats are
Right.
dramatic.
Yeah, you'd probably be a little messed up if you were raised by a goat.
Just dramatic. They
Yeah,
scream a lot.
but they are dramatic. Yeah. Jeez.
That's fun.
Yeah. So we're on to the fun facts here, and Athena. I don't know if you knew this. Was already born fully grown and fully armed. I didn't know that at all. Um,
But it gets more and more interesting as we go.
right. Zeus swallowed up her pregnant mother, Metis, because of a prophecy that her child would be more powerful than him. And then later, Athena popped out of Zeus's head in full battle armor. That's one way to make an entrance.
These are so fun. I love these. They're so
Right.
fun.
How people imagine this like 2000 years ago. It's
I told
pretty
you it was so you could be so creative. They didn't have like TV the way we do now. It allowed your creative processes to flow. And maybe it's all real. Maybe it all happened.
yeah. Yeah, well they kind of came up with I mean they came up with a bunch of ideas that we still run with today. Like a whole
Yeah.
bunch of these mythological creatures and characters and uh phrases and stuff. I mean, oh, really quick, I did write something down. It's just kind of interesting how many phrases come from Greek mythology. And I mean, you probably know about your Achilles heel. People still talk about that as your like prime weakness. And then there's also Pandora's box. But also one thing I just learned was nemesis, the word like for your arch enemy, was actually a Greek goddess who personified retribution, specifically against arrogance or hubris, and especially against the gods. So if you were ever blaspheming the gods, you had a nemesis, literally, um, and that stuck with us, I guess. But I don't know. I think it's cool how much phrases and stuff we keep from
Like where they came from.
thinking.
I always get way too in depth randomly when I'm just sitting there thinking about nothing but everything. And then you start to like go down the path of like where words originated from and how they, what's the first word, and then how did it progress to what it is now. And it's just such an interesting concept. Now, of course, this took billions and billions of years, but we have a full language that we understand that other people with their own language don't it's cool. It's pretty cool. I find it fascinating. But
Yeah.
once upon a time, you communicated by like, I'm sure we always had body language, always, because that's just like a natural thing. And then it progressed into words and full communication.
Right. Yeah, it's cool seeing how that evolves. And stories too, like all the characters and elements and archetypes were, I mean, a lot of them were created back during the times they created these mythologies. So pretty cool. Um,
Moving on the fun facts list, we're going to move on to Poseidon. And now Poseidon created a horse to impress a girl. Poseidon was trying to woo Demeter. And so he created the very first horse ever that walked this earth. And when she still wasn't into him, he moved on, leaving us with horses and a little bit of an awkward story. Like, hey, I created this for this woman that I was in love with, but she didn't like me. So here, have this. I
geez,
have no
yeah,
use for it.
not into horses, I guess. That's a hard to impress girl. You create a whole new animal, a pretty impressive one, and she's just like, eh.
She didn't like him.
Right? Well, he shot his shot. At least he wasn't weird about it, kind of like Zeus was.
I guess that explains where the horse came into play because Poseidon being the god of the ocean, the god of water and what the god of the ocean, and then he just creates a horse. Like it makes no sense, but now it does because he had a little bit of a crush and was like, I want to show my crush something cool, and he made a horse.
Yeah, that's a good origin story. I didn't know that's where horses came from. But yeah, here's another little un not entirely known fact, but Hades wasn't actually evil. I mean, if you got all of your Greek mythology from the Disney show, maybe you would you didn't think that. But yeah, he's not actually a bad guy. He just happens to rule the underworld and manage the afterlife to make sure the dead stayed where they were. And
You have the dead roaming.
yeah,
You
you
just
can't have
roam
that.
around with the living.
No,
Zombies, zombie apocalypse.
right. Yeah. Yeah, the Greek underworld is kind of interesting too. It wasn't exactly a paradise. I guess kind of like the North mythology we talked about last week. Most people just kind of went to this big empty field to roam around as shades. So I don't know. I guess it was a life, but it wasn't, paradise. Although some people I think were given that sort of paradise. Either uh got sort of promoted to gods to literally live with the gods or get to hang out in a nicer area of Hades, I guess, of the realm he had. And I believe the realm was also called Hades. Um, but there's
I
different
think so.
Mhm.
I mean, that sounds right. Hades lived in Hades. Hades rolled over Hades.
Yeah, I mean it's the underworld, but realms of the underworld. Uh, I do know there's Tartarus. That's the really bad part of hell, and that's um, uh, taken over by, or it's sort of watched over by that Titan um, of the same name. And yeah, that's where you really don't want to go. And the nice place is called Elysium, or the Elysian Fields. That's where you went if you were good and virtuous. And but almost everyone went to the Asphodel meadows, and that's you just kind of drifted around as a soul, and um, I don't know. They didn't. It seems like you kind of faded out of existence as a shade, or you sort of numbed. I don't know. You didn't really have much of an afterlife, I guess, and for most people in Greek mythology.
High legendary. And yeah, Jesse, we can't have the Walking Dead. Although I think I told you guys, I used to have really vivid like zombie dreams. And we've talked about this before because I'm telling you, they were so insanely vivid. And it was always like a surviving in a post-apocalyptic zombie infested world. Similar to The Walking Dead, but my dreams were always like different than The Walking Dead, but they were still very, very realistic. And then I would wake up, but
That's
I was never really scared. It was more like almost like the dreams were like watching a show that I was interested in. I wasn't scared. I was in survival mode, but even in my dreams, I wasn't afraid of what was happening. I was just like, okay, we have to survive, gotta get food, meeting other people. They were always fun. Genuinely. I don't think too many people are going to enjoy creepy dreams like that, but it's right down my alley and I loved every moment of them.
really cool. Oh, and I think there's a god of dreams too. There's a god of everything in Greek mythology, really. Um, but geez, Morpheus, Greek god of dreams. Um, and he could sort of appear in your dreams. It's pretty cool. I like that name, Morpheus.
Morpheus makes me think of the Matrix, though.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's on purpose, right? Morpheus sort of pulls out Neo from the Matrix, sort of like the god of dreams pulling
Yeah,
someone out of there.
I'll have to look into that. Maybe. Gotta look into that theory. My lips are so chapped, guys. I know I'm sitting here just touching my face, but like, ugh. Okay, so let's move on. We just talked about Hades and we talked a little bit about different like underworlds and things of that nature. What we're going to talk about next is a fun little fact about Hermes, who invented lyre as a baby. As a baby.
Wow.
So on the very, oh, hold on. Sorry, I lost my place. On the very day he was born, he stole Apollo's cattle for fun. And to make up for it, he invented the lyre, which is a small harp, out of a tortoise shell, and then he gifted it to Apollo because he felt bad. So maybe genius or a troublemaker, a little bit of both. Like he was a troublemaker, but then he was like, "Oh, I feel bad for the trouble I caused. Let me make it up to you."
That's
As a
interesting.
baby.
Yeah, I always see depictions of Apollo with the little harp or the lyre, I guess. And
The lyre.
I didn't know
Harp.
that came from Hermes. That's interesting. But also Dionysus, maybe the best origin story. Her mother was a mortal, Semele, who accidentally asked Zeus to reveal his true godly form, which fried her. I guess Zeus doesn't like being asked to do that. But he did save their unborn child by sewing him into his thigh until he was ready to be born. That's a fun story at parties, I guess. But I guess Zeus was like a literal surrogate mother for this child. So
Sewing him into his thigh. That sounds painful.
yeah,
Unpleasant.
doesn't sound fun.
No. So that's interesting. An interesting little fact that I had no idea about. Nothing. But now we're going to move into, okay, this is the only Greek name that I struggle with. Hephaestus.
I think it's Hephaestus.
Hephaestus. Yeah, I was going to say, how did I say it the first time? I already said it once during this freaking podcast. Hephaestus was thrown off of Mount Olympus, just thrown right off of it. Can you imagine being thrown off of the earth? Like, poof. No, because the earth, never mind. Anyways, so when he was born, Hera thought he was too ugly and she yeeted him right off of the Mount Olympus. Like, you know what? I can't have an ugly baby. You got to go. But he survived, obviously, and he grew up and learned to craft, became very skilled in crafting, and eventually built a throne so fancy that Hera got stuck in it forever, for eternity.
It was a long time.
Sweet revenge.
Yeah. That's a funny story. But yeah, Hephaestus, he built all sorts of cool little gadgets and stuff. But yeah.
That would probably be the coolest little gadget. Like my mother threw me off of Mount Olympus, so we need to figure out revenge.
Yeah.
And he got it.
It worked out in the end. Oh, Aphrodite, she was actually born from the sea. That's a cool thing. And literally rose out from the sea after Uranus's severed parts were thrown into the ocean.
Like a witch's brew. Created a
Yeah,
whole goddess.
emerged. Yeah, just fully grown. Just threw a bunch of severed body parts in the ocean, and she walked out. Talk about a dramatic entrance.
Yeah. So fun. Imagine just like taking a nice little stroll along the beach, like, oh, it's a beautiful day. It's coming to evening. I'm gonna just take a walk. And then this like beautiful goddess comes like floating out of the water. Just
Right.
what am I seeing right now?
Oh yeah, I did want to say, yeah, Uranus is actually one of the primordial gods. Um,
So we're
so
gonna
it
get into
was like,
that
yeah, we'll talk more about that later, but yeah, he's an interesting character.
soon. We're getting there. We're making our way to the primordial gods. We're getting there. Okay, so we just talked about how Aphrodite just poof, right out of the ocean, born from the sea. Boom, here I am. I exist, guys. Hello. So now we're going to talk about Artemis, who had no time for drama. Artemis was boring, boring, very boring. Because you need drama for excitement, right? No. Artemis was fiercely independent and once turned a guy into a stag just for accidentally seeing her bathe. You saw me naked, and now we have a problem. So the lesson was, don't mess with her personal space. We talked about her earlier. She was introverted. It took a lot for her to let you into her bubble.
Yeah, yeah,
So
she was mostly alone in the woods or with a few trusted companions on a hunt, and yeah, don't run into her when
yeah,
she's in.
watch what you're looking at when you're in the woods. Like, come on, privacy.
Jeez. Um, oh man, that goes right into Apollo, who actually lost a music contest, which gotta be kind of shameful if you're the god of music,
Right?
but to a
What?
satyr. And that the satyr is like the half sort of a goat, half human sort of creature, right? I think they're one of those weird mythological.
Right, right.
I don't. I think it's goat and human, but yeah. Apollo challenged a satyr named Marsyas to a music contest and just barely won. He only pulled away after insisting that they play upside down, which, sounds like a sore loser. He's like, I didn't win the first time, so let's try upside down. I don't know. Something only a god could do too. He's like, well, I
Exactly.
bet you
That's
can't do
only
it
God thing.
lying upside down with your eyes closed. Right?
Mhm.
Yeah, he still didn't sound as good. So yeah, you might be a god, but the satyr just wiped the floor with you in the musical battle.
He doesn't talk about it much. Probably never heard that story before.
Nope.
So we're going to move back to Hera. So Hera once started a revolt against Zeus because, again, he was not faithful to her. She was very revengeful with the women more so than Zeus. Typically, she took revenge upon the women that Zeus had slept with. But in this case, she started a revolt against Zeus because she got so fed up with Zeus's nonsense that she teamed up with Poseidon and Athena to overthrow him. She was done with his, she was done. So Zeus escaped and then punished her, and she promised not to rebel ever again. I'll never do it again. And she probably thought about doing it again.
Yeah, there's a big history of people fighting over power in the pantheon. But yeah, that was the big coup that almost worked, but
Didn't.
nope. Yeah. Um, I think we talked about. Oh yeah, I already mentioned Demeter inventing winter. I kind of jumped ahead there earlier, but we can talk about Ares, actually, and how he wasn't liked very much, especially by the other gods. Um, God of war, considered too violent, right?
for,
So
for, for these gods that like ate
yeah,
people and stuff.
right. That's saying a lot coming from the Olympians who are like always fighting. They're like, you gotta cool it down, Ares. This is a little too much.
You're too much. Too much.
Yeah. But Athena often outsmarted him because even though Ares was a god of war, Athena more the god of strategy, and she ended up winning most of the time. And since he was just really aggressive, He was kind of easy to avoid. People just stayed out of his way while he was rampaging.
Aggressive, angry, violent. We'll just leave that. We'll leave you alone.
Yeah.
All right. So I got so I'm sure every single person, all 5 of you watching this podcast right now, and maybe whoever's going to watch it playback later, I'm sure you've heard of Medusa. Everybody has heard of Medusa. You know, the snake-haired lady. Don't look at her, she'll turn you to stone. Medusa wasn't always a monster. She wasn't always like that. Medusa started off as a beautiful priestess of Athena's, but after being cursed by the goddess, she became the snake-haired legend that we know today. So her head, post-beheading, was used as a weapon by Perseus. Interesting.
Right.
How did he use her head as a weapon? I don't know.
He like chopped her head off and then was like carrying it around as like a laser beam sort of thing, turn people into stone. It's I think
still work. That makes sense because the snakes on her head are what did the job.
Right. She was cursed by Athena, right? Yeah, I think
She was cursed by Athena, yeah.
Yeah, I think she had some stupid contest, or she said something like I'm more beautiful than the gods or something, or I'm even more beautiful than Athena. And so their punishment was basically any man who looks at you turns into stone. So like who cares if you're more beautiful? They're all gonna turn into stone anyways, was the whole punishment.
Talk about us like that is petty.
Yeah, that's pretty petty.
Abuse of power.
That's a common theme with the gods here. It's
Yeah.
They do a lot of petty stuff.
They do. Dramatic.
Right. They weren't necessarily evil, but they were definitely didn't have the strongest moral compass.
Emotionally unstable.
Yeah. Oh, he says, Justin, in God of War, you can actually kill Medusa and use her head as a weapon in that video game.
That's fun. That's fun. Just turn everybody to stone.
Yeah. It's pretty powerful. Jeez. Oh yeah, next thing here. You probably heard about the Titans, but just like the other Greek gods, they weren't just villains either. There's Prometheus, who is one of the Titans, and he actually was the one who gave fire to humanity. And the rest of the gods kind of thought that was a bad idea. But Prometheus, he was actually an ally to most people, and I'm sure that's a good thing. I mean, Zeus punished him though, chained him to a rock, and now he's eaten by an eagle daily. I think an eagle picks out like his liver every day, and then it grows back, and then it happens again every day. So
because he gave us fire.
Yeah.
We should revolt.
We should. Yeah, that's messed up.
That's wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not a whole lot different from us. Full of drama. Right, Tony?
Okay, so we promised you guys earlier we were going to go over the more popular gods, but now we're going to move into what are known as the primordial deities, which are the first generation of gods and goddesses. They represented the fundamental forces and physical foundation of the world. So we're going to give you some examples of primordial. I can speak, I swear. Greek deities, starting with Gaia. Gaia is the personification of the earth. I'm sure many of you may have known this. Maybe you didn't, but it's a very common knowledge. So that actually comes from the name of a god and is considered the supreme. She's considered the supreme mother goddess. She emerged from chaos and is the ancestor of all gods and goddesses.
Yeah, pretty cool. Like
there you go.
Really Mother Nature, I guess.
Gaia. Mm-hmm.
And these are all like primordial forces. They're gods. They have like they have like personas, and they're characters in Greek mythology, but they're also very emblematic, and they literally personify these sort of primordial forces, or what the ancient Greeks thought of as what was there before anything else. And so one of the next primordial god would be Uranus, which is the god of the heavens and sky, and also a symbol of masculinity. But, to the Greeks, the heavens were always there, and that was represented by Uranus. And he had many children with Gaia, and that's actually where the Titans came from Uranus and Gaia, birthed all the Titans.
Including the 12 original Titans. I see. Interesting.
Right.
So then you have Tartarus. Tartarus rolled over the abyss, which is known as the deepest and darkest pit in the underworld.
Right. That's where all the really bad people were. If the gods wanted to punish you in the afterlife, they would send you to Tartarus, I guess. Not a good place.
You just weren't good. So they were like, bye.
Yeah. And actually, I think Tartarus was actually guarded by Erebus, which is the god of that dark region. I think there was also in Tartarus, or it's sort of the same area in the underworld. I was just reading about it, but also he's like the personification of darkness. He's not just the god of darkness, he is darkness. So that's interesting.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Because like darkness doesn't always necessarily mean you're evil, but
right,
in a lot of ways it does. And maybe in Greek mythology it does. But who knows? Because then we're going to move on to Nyx, who is the primordial Greek goddess of the night and a consort to Erebus. So does that mean they were both bad or that they were just born of darkness? I don't know. I don't really know for sure.
Yeah, and I think Greek mythology for the most part was pretty agnostic about whether or not these gods were necessarily good or bad. They worshiped them as primordial forces, but they didn't really have like this sort of a good or bad connotation off the bat.
I don't hear about Nyx eating people, her children.
Right. That's true. Definitely better than Kronos, I think. Yeah.
Eating all of his children. Come on now.
Kind of messed up.
Except for Zeus, but that was only because Zeus was hidden. So
right.
And raised by a goat.
They did a switcheroo. Yeah, I heard different variations on the story. Either they wrapped up a rock in a towel in like a little baby towel and gave it to Kronos, or it was like also a baby goat. So maybe a goat saved him twice, which is I don't know.
By sacrificing her own baby to be eaten.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know where that goat came from. Definitely saved Zeus. There's the next one I haven't even heard of, but Pontus, which is the primordial god of the seas. So, yeah, a lot of the Greek gods that we know, the pantheon, sort of came along later. They're sort of like the second generation of gods. There were these primordial gods beforehand, and I guess before the sea was personified by Pontus.
So after Pontus, we have Hera, and Hera is just known as the goddess of daylight. So, did she create daylight? Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, or she literally is daylight.
Her existence is what allows daylight to be a thing. I don't know. You can really I haven't done a whole lot of research on the primordial gods. I only know some very basics. So you can really just use your imagination and get creative with it. Give them a backstory. Give them a storyline.
Yeah. There. Justin said something interesting about that. The creations of the human mind to express concepts that were beyond us. Reflections of the collective human soul. Yeah, I think that's a good point. And also, like, they didn't have good explanations for where sunlight came from, and so there had to have a reason. And so
where is this sunlight coming from? What is happening? Yeah,
a god was just as good a reason as any when you can't point to anything else.
I think a lot of it is that's how they made sense of so much back then. Things that they couldn't understand or comprehend, this is how it made sense to them. Like, it must be a god that creates this. This is what it's here because of this god and that god. And I don't know, I love it all. I love hearing about the different ideologies and the mythology about it because interesting, like how we did the Norse mythology last week. I think that was a lot of fun. I'm a little more familiar with Norse mythology than I am Greek mythology, but I thought this would be a good following episode. And of course, I know of Zeus and Hades and all of that. Like these are just, you're just existing. You're gonna hear about them. He was replying to Tony's comment, building off of what he said. Tony said, guess there isn't much different. They're not much different from us. And I think that's a big part of what we're talking about is like these gods are very relatable to us humans today based on just the norm. Like obviously they're very dramatic and we're making it a little more fun. So it's being a little extra, but yeah, they're supposed to be more relatable. They're these big, powerful gods, yet here they are being petty. And well, we don't necessarily eat people when we're angry with them, but you know, would you? I wouldn't. I don't want to eat people. Not really.
No thanks.
No,
Yeah.
thank you.
That's Cronus's thing, right? That was the other one of the God, I'm spacing on the name right now. The one of the primordial gods. And also I think he's one of the Titans, or he birthed the Titans with no, that was actually Uranus. No, Kronos birthed the gods that we know of, and then didn't birth them, but he was their father. But he was also going
Yeah, like I know
eat
Cronus,
them.
Zeus, and
Right.
I'm blanking too,
There's
but
Zeus and Hera. They're actually sisters, and I think Poseidon and Hades were the
siblings,
original ones.
not
Yeah.
sisters. Kronos.
But yeah, they all came from Kronos and Gaia, I believe. And
Yeah, so Kronos was a child of Gaia and Uranus, right? Is that what they're saying?
yeah,
God of time, and he was the youngest and the most powerful offspring of Uranus and Gaia. Okay. You learn something new every day.
yeah.
We have Ananke. Ananke. I don't know, guys. Ananke. She's the goddess of necessity. She was fully self-formed at the beginning of the universe.
She
So
just was. Yeah.
she is. I am.
Yeah,
So that's fun.
pretty cool.
Right. Well, the original Kronos is a Titan and is the father of all that. Yes, Kronos is a Titan because he was a Titan born of Uranus and Gaia, who birthed all of the Titans, and
Right.
the father of all gods. Yes. So yes, Zeus and Hera, husband and wife, were brother and sister, but you know,
Mhm.
whatever.
Yeah. And I don't know if you get a chance to read more about Greek mythology, there's tons of amazing stories that are still relevant today. And you can really see how it shaped a lot of our culture, I think, with art, literature, film. I mean, a lot of the character archetypes and story structures were literally invented back then. And they're still very fun and interesting today.
They are. So we've been going for about an hour, and that's kind of like the goal of what we want these episodes to be. So, but before we do decide to close anything out, if anyone who's watching right now, now's the time to chat, to ask questions, to jump in. Anything you want to talk about, anything you want to throw out there, throw it out there, and we'll address that, and we'll go with the flow. I'm gonna go check the comments right now, actually. I have to bounce back and forth. Oh, it doesn't show me who's in here right now. I guess while we wait, some other little fun facts is like Zeus had so many children that he couldn't keep them straight. He had both mortal and immortal children. As you know, Zeus slept with gods, goddesses, and human women. Um,
Right.
Sometimes he would even forget like who his children are. Are you mortal? Are you immortal? Are you mine? Are you my child?
Right. Yeah,
Uh,
there were a lot of demigods, right? Like half human, half god hybrids out there. And not all of them were treated the same way. Some of them were like literally treated like other gods and got to live up there on Olympus, and some of them were just like treated just like ordinary people or worse because they were the child of like infidelity, and Hera was usually pissed off at them.
Speaking of Hera, she actually once sent snakes to kill a baby. Come on now. She hated Hercules. Look at
Right.
Zeus, of course, because of Zeus. So
Or
she sent two
Heracles.
snakes to
Right.
kill him as a baby.
Yeah.
Hercules, being Hercules, just strangled them with his tiny little baby hands.
Dumb.
Um, I don't agree with her decisions. She always went after everyone but Zeus. And then, of course, when she finally did try to go after Zeus, she lost. So, who knows?
Right. You know, it's interesting. I don't know if it's a play on Hera's name, but the original Greek name for Hercules was Heracles, which I think if Zeus named his son after his wife that he cheated on, seems like a pretty uh
Seems like a pretty Zeus thing to do, though.
yeah. Jeez.
Hercules is a demigod. Selene, the goddess of the moon. Thank you for sharing, Shar.
Oh yeah, thank you.
I got some more fun facts. These little fun facts I think are my favorite part of these podcasts because they're very short and sweet, but they're like it's almost like you get a little more intimate details about these gods.
Mhm.
So Athena invented the flute, and then she hated it. She invented the flute and then she absolutely hated it. She abandoned it after seeing how it puffed up her cheeks when she played it. She didn't like that. She didn't like that it aesthetically took away from her beauty in her eyes because she was vain, maybe?
Yeah,
Was she? Maybe.
I think they
Um,
were to a certain extent.
Hermes, as we know, stole Apollo's cattle, and you know he did that as a baby. We already learned this fact, so I'm gonna skip right by this one. Dionysus, not only was he the party, like he was a party monster and he loved his wine, he could also turn water into wine. A very Jesus-like thing to do, but he could turn water into wine, um, and then drink it while he's partying. Share it, maybe. He might have shared it, probably. He seemed like a nice guy. Persephone ate the wrong snack. Uh, She spends part of the year in the underworld, as we already know, and she ate 6 pomegranate seeds while she was there, which magically bound her to Hades for 6 months every year. This is why her mom was sad because she had to spend so much time in Hades, and then she could come home during the spring and summer, and then back in the whole winter, not being able to grow crops because mama was sad. But it was because she ate a snack that bound her there. So whose fault really was that?
Right. That's a good point. Oh man. One thing I didn't know, Heracles or Hercules had a twin brother. Guess he wasn't,
Hercules had a twin.
yeah. Guess he wasn't as liked by the gods.
He wasn't. Hercules was a demigod, so he was. I don't know. That would mean his twin was also a demigod, but maybe he didn't really have demigod abilities, and they were like, "You could just go be human," you know.
Sure.
Who knows? We got Aphrodite and Ares had a scandalous affair. Scandalous. Aphrodite was married to Hephaestus. Married. They're so unfaithful. But she had a long running affair with Ares. When Hephaestus caught them in the act, he trapped them in a magical net and invited all the other gods to laugh at them.
Oh.
Fun. Pandora. So we didn't really talk about Pandora, but you've heard of Pandora's box. She wasn't curious, she was tricked. Pandora didn't just open the infamous box, or technically it was a jar. She was made to open it as part of Zeus's plan to punish humanity because he was vengeful, or he was Zeus. So basically, she got blamed for doing exactly what she was meant or set up to do. So there goes Zeus getting away with things again because he's Zeus.
Yep. Well, he's the king of the gods, so
Yeah.
get away with
What are you gonna do?
it. Oh man. I was gonna say, oh, I mean, this probably goes without saying, but you've probably heard of Athens, but it was literally named after Athena, and supposedly they worshipped her. But it was apparently the myth for the city was it was chosen to be named Athena because she won a contest against Poseidon, and she gifted the city an olive tree, which became a symbol of its prosperity. Cool.
All right, guys. We're gonna wrap it up then. We don't want this to go on and on for too long. We are gonna do call. You can catch Call Me Jess every Friday. We think we're gonna move it to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you're not Eastern Standard Time, just do the math. I know for Q it's 4 p.m. right now. But I can't tell you all the different time zones. You're just gonna have to do the math.
Right. Well, and we'll make an event too. So if you subscribe to the event, it'll give you a little warning before we go live. And
I have an event made right now, but it's for 5 p.m. We'll just change it.
okay, yeah.
So it's
So just
weekly.
make sure
Typically,
you're on that, and then share that too if you want to other people, and we get more people in here and have another fun conversation.
get the party going. The more that you guys like interact with us, the more it just kind of helps everybody feel like they're a part of this. We want it to be fun. I know, like we're just throwing out. We don't really know what next week episode is going to be about. Honestly, if you have any suggestions or something you would like to see, you could leave that in the comments. We do like it. We do take those into consideration. Something we think that would be fun and entertaining.
Yeah,
Like,
always open to new ideas.
yeah, definitely. And we like to kind of keep it fun, keep it a little like humorous because I feel like that's more, I don't know. I enjoy humor. So hopefully you guys do too. A little tired today, just came back from Thanksgiving. I was out of town, got back at like 4 p.m. Had to hurry up and get myself together, sit down and jump into this live. So I'm not as lively as I would like to be, but I'm here. It is Saturday. We did go live today at 6 p.m. due to Thanksgiving and the holiday. But yeah, standardly we go live every Friday, which will now be at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and Justin just recommended Egypt, which keeping with ancient mythologies and societies would be
Talk about
definitely
aliens.
good.
Ooh, definitely could talk about aliens.
Aliens would be cool. And oh, and Jesse said an episode on dreams or astral.
So if we do that, Jesse, you have to be a guest because your dreams are like my favorite. I love when you tell us about your dreams and how vivid and crazy they are. So if we do an episode on dreams, you should be our guest. He's 12 hours he's 11 hours now, the opposite. So if we go live at 6 p.m., it's going to be 7 a.m. for him. You're going to be up at 7 a.m.? So that would be fun. I would love, because I love the idea of dreams and like really vivid dreams, not like the basic dreams where you're running around, you have to pee and you can't, every time you go pee, or unless you're the unfortunate type that goes pee in their dream and then pees to bed. If I have to go to the restroom in my dream, I'll be running around trying, like my whole dream is about trying to find a restroom instead of just waking up and going to the bathroom. It's freaking annoying. Like,
oh man. Yeah, that sounds tough.
so we'll make sure we talk about dreams that are more entertaining than restroom dreams. Like, oh, we won't talk about that.
There's all sorts of dreams. Man, I remember I had this a few amazing dreams that I don't remember most of them, but the ones I really like are where you're sort of flying. I remember I had this dream and it felt so realistic. I was in this like big open park and it felt so real, but I remember like I was just barely tethered to the ground. Like I could just if I ran fast enough and I jumped, I could start flying and soaring through the air. Definitely those are cool experiences and be fun to talk about.
So Legendary Black Knight said it was his first time on here, and he thought it was rather interesting, which is great because we try, like that is our goal. I feel like I'm usually a little more lively, but I don't have to watch it back and see. Like I might just feel sleepy and I did fine. I don't know. But yeah, I'm glad that you enjoyed it. You thought it was interesting and we would love to have you back. Um, we did just kind of relaunch this. I started Call Me Jess back in the spring, summer. We had a few episodes and then life got busy, but I'm trying to make it a point to not do that. Like I want to make this priority. We enjoy doing this. So we're building our audience now. If you find us and you like us, stick with us. You
Yeah.
know, find us. If you're drawn to us, then hi.
Yeah.
Um,
Good.
an episode on dreams and the astral. I absolutely love like talking about astral projection dreams, things of that. So definitely we will. And yeah, Jay, we'll do, why don't we do next week? We'll just make it on Egypt and aliens though, and pyramids, and like really kind of not just talk about Egypt, but the stories behind Egypt. I think that would be
Uh-huh.
awesome.
Oh, sure. Yeah, we can talk about all the different theories and yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff to
That would
think.
be fun. All right. Well, with that being said, we'll see you guys next week.
All righty.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Gonna take me a minute, so we're still here. We said bye. Confirm.